Welcome back. Tonight we journey into a darkness far more chilling than the romantic allure of opium. We delve into a substance colder, more artificial, and 1,000 times more brutal. Imagine a power that compels a soldier to march for 3 days and nights without sleep, without food, utterly devoid of fear. A force capable of transforming a timid housewife into someone who feels invincible, ready to conquer the world. This is the story of a terrifying efficiency, turning humans into relentless machines operating at double capacity. But what is the true price for this borrowed, unnatural strength? It begins with the body, teeth rotting away, blackened and decaying, skin erupting in painful sores, a manifestation of the mind's torment, as imaginary insects crawl ceaselessly beneath the surface. And then, the mind itself, burnt out and warped by paranoia, seeing enemies lurking in every shadow, every corner. This is the cruel reality behind the temporary surge, a descent into physical decay and mental chaos. The substance I am describing is known on the streets as crystal meth. In scientific terms, it is methamphetamine. Its journey is long and dark, from the pristine laboratories of 19th century Japan into the desperate hands of Nazi soldiers fighting in World War II. And now, it casts its long shadow over the forgotten alleys of our modern cities. Methamphetamine is far more than just a drug. It is the ultimate embodiment of humanity's relentless desire to transcend its biological limits, yet, tragically, it is also the most brutal form of self-destruction imaginable. Take a deep breath and steel your mind, for we are about to embark on a journey into the heart of this madness. This is Forbidden Files, and this is the complete story of crystal meth. Our narrative begins not within the grim confines of a criminal underworld, but rather within the hallowed, respectable walls of a scientific laboratory. The setting: Tokyo, Japan. The year 1885. This is where the tale of the Eastern alchemists truly begins, a story of ambition and unintended consequences. In that dignified Tokyo lab, a brilliant chemist named Nagayoshi embarked on groundbreaking research. His subject was the ephedra plant, known as ma huang, a traditional herb widely used across China and Japan for centuries. It was a natural remedy for ailments like asthma and nasal congestion. Nagai meticulously extracted and isolated the plant's primary active compound, a substance he aptly named ephedrine. This discovery was a significant step, providing a milder stimulant that brought relief by relaxing bronchial passages, making breathing easier for many. Yet, for the ambitious scientists of the era, the mild effects of ephedrine were merely a starting point. They yearned for something far more potent, a compound that could unlock even greater physiological responses. It was this relentless pursuit of enhancement that led Nagayoshi, 8 years later in 1893, to revisit his work. Through further experimentation and synthesis, he created a new derivative from ephedrine. This groundbreaking, yet ultimately perilous innovation was the birth of methamphetamine, initially existing in a pure, liquid form. The initial groundbreaking invention, proving difficult to use, remained shrouded in obscurity, forgotten in a dusty drawer for 26 years. It wasn't until 1919 that another brilliant Japanese scientist, Akira Ogata, would rewrite history. Discarding complex procedures, Ogata ingeniously utilized red phosphorus with iodine to synthesize the compound. The remarkable result was no longer a liquid, but solid, transparent crystals, sparkling like pure glass. Crucially, these crystals could be dissolved in water for direct injection into the bloodstream. This moment marked the global debut of crystalline methamphetamine, colloquially known as ice. At the time, it wasn't branded as a drug, but rather Philopon, a Greek term meaning love of labor, a name now steeped in bitter irony. In Japan, Philopon was openly sold as a fatigue remedy, empowering workers to toil longer and students to burn the midnight oil. However, across the globe, on the ancient continent of Europe, a sinister power was gaining momentum. They looked at these innocent white crystals and recognized a vastly different potential, not for healing, but for the creation of an unstoppable army of super soldiers. This brings us to Chapter 2, the Führer's Pill. In 1936, the Olympic Games unfolded in Berlin. Nazi Germany was desperate to showcase the perceived superiority of the Aryan race to the entire world. However, they uncovered a startling secret. American athletes were boosting their performance using a powerful stimulant called benzedrine amphetamine. Unwilling to accept defeat, the Germans swiftly retaliated. The pharmaceutical firm, Temmler Berlin, was tasked with creating a substance even more potent. Under the guidance of Dr. Fritz Hauschild, they turned their attention back to the Japanese methamphetamine formula. In 1937, Temmler officially introduced a new drug to the market with a name that would echo through history: Pervitin. It was aggressively promoted across Germany as a miraculous tonic. Imagine methamphetamine openly available at any pharmacy or general store. Housewives eagerly bought Pervitin for the energy to clean homes and to aid in weight loss. Office workers relied on it to power through endless overtime. They even produced methamphetamine-infused chocolate, branded Hildebrand chocolate. Each bar packed 14 letters, 3 times the standard pill, with women encouraged to consume 2 or 3 for effortless housework. Germany was becoming addicted. Nazi Germany's true objective wasn't domestic bliss for housewives, it was war. In September 1939, Germany invaded Poland, unleashing the Blitzkrieg, the Lightning War. German tanks and infantry moved with unimaginable speed, tearing through enemy lines before they could even react. This unprecedented pace shocked their adversaries. How did they achieve such relentless, rapid advances? The secret weapon wasn't just superior machinery or strategy. It lay hidden within the daily rations of every German soldier. Between April and July 1940, as Germany prepared its assault on France, the Wehrmacht placed an astounding order for 35 million Pervitin tablets for its troops. The instructions were unambiguous: 1 tablet by day, 2 by night if necessary. Envision the Panzer tank drivers, sealed inside their hot, noisy iron cocoons. Under normal circumstances, they'd be utterly exhausted after just 10 hours of constant combat. But with Pervitin coursing through their veins, fatigue, hunger, and crucially fear simply vanished. These soldiers became cold, euphoric killing machines. French and British forces were utterly bewildered, unable to comprehend how German units could relentlessly advance for 3 days and nights without a moment's rest. They watched in disbelief as the Germans traversed the treacherous Ardennes Mountains, striking at Paris with shocking speed. The Allied troops initially believed they faced superhumans, but the terrifying truth was far simpler. These were not supermen but addicts, propelled forward by the potent, insidious rush of methamphetamine. But every drug has its inevitable come-down. As the euphoria of Pervitin faded, a hellish reality set in. German soldiers began to suffer extreme exhaustion, terrifying hallucinations, racing heartbeats, and uncontrollable trembling, rendering them unable to even hold their rifles steady. Some succumbed to madness, firing wildly at their own comrades. General Leonardo Conti, the Reich Minister of Health, tried to warn about Pervitin's devastating effects, but his pleas were ignored. The insatiable war machine demanded its fuel, and Pervitin remained the cheapest, most effective option. A famous story from the Winter War tells of Aimo Koivunen, a Finnish soldier allied with Germany. Pursued by Russian forces, he was so utterly spent and panicked that he consumed an entire box, roughly 30 pills, of Pervitin at once. The result? He skied continuously for 400 kilometers over 2 weeks, surviving sub-zero temperatures and minefields without a single minute of sleep. When finally discovered, his heart rate was a staggering 200 beats per minute. Though many soldiers survived the war, their minds bore permanent scars. The Nazi regime fell, but Pervitin's grip persisted. As the war concluded, millions of pills remained stockpiled, and countless soldiers and civilians found themselves trapped in addiction. From the ashes of World War II, the insidious influence of methamphetamine began its journey across the globe, setting its sights on the New World. As Nazi soldiers relied on Pervitin against the Russian cold across the globe, the Japanese, the true originators of methamphetamine, utilized their own monstrous creation, Philopon, for even more horrifying purposes. It became an essential ration in the Imperial Japanese Army, distributed to armament factory workers for grueling 24-hour shifts without rest. Night watch soldiers received Philopon, their eyes wide open and eerily fixed in the dark, pushing beyond all human limits. The most haunting images of methamphetamine in World War II are inextricably linked to the kamikaze. Imagine a young pilot, barely 18, ordered to fly his Zero into an American aircraft carrier, a mission of certain death. To conquer this primal fear, a chilling ritual unfolded. Historians record that alongside ceremonial sake, kamikaze pilots received a potent dose of Philopon. As the drug coursed through their veins, fear dissolved, replaced by blind euphoria and a manic sense of martyrdom. They flew towards death with wide, crazed eyes, transformed into living missiles, seemingly impervious to pain. In 1945, Japan surrendered after the atomic bombs devastated Hiroshima and Nagasaki. While the war ended, the nightmare of methamphetamine was just beginning. Post-war Japan was a landscape of desolation, famine, and despair. Crucially, a massive military stockpile of Philopon remained intact. This abundance, combined with the widespread suffering, created fertile ground for a new kind of epidemic. The drug, once a tool of war, now preyed on a vulnerable populace, marking the dawn of a devastating public health crisis. With the military government's control loosening, pharmaceutical companies swiftly flooded the civilian market with Philopon. They aggressively advertised it as a revitalizing tonic, essential for the Japanese people to muster the strength needed to rebuild their nation from the ashes of war. This marketing blitz inadvertently plunged Japan into the first major drug addiction epidemic in human history. By 1951, an astonishing 1.5 million Japanese were estimated to be addicted to Philopon, out of a total population of less than 80 million. The drug's presence was undeniable, with dazzling neon Philopon advertisements illuminating the streets of Tokyo. From writers and artists to musicians, nearly everyone seemed to be using it. The social fallout was immediate and severe. Crime rates surged dramatically, and gruesome murders, often attributed to meth-induced hallucinations, became frighteningly common headlines. Facing a societal crisis, the Japanese government was compelled to act decisively, introducing stringent measures to curb the widespread addiction. In 1951, Japan enacted the Stimulant Control Act, completely outlawing the production and use of Philopon. However, the devil had already escaped the cage. As the drug was banned domestically, the notorious Yakuza crime syndicates quickly seized the opportunity to establish lucrative smuggling operations. Crucially, the potent formula for methamphetamine itself began its journey across the ocean, finding a new, promising frontier in the United States. This marks Chapter 4, the era of housewives and bikers. Welcome to 1950s America. The 1950s American dream promised idyllic suburban homes, gleaming Cadillacs, and picture-perfect model families. Yet, behind the pristine doors of these seemingly perfect households, a different reality often unfolded. Many American housewives were silently battling exhaustion and profound pressure. They were expected to maintain immaculate homes, prepare gourmet meals, diligently raise their children, and uphold an impossibly slender movie star figure. Overwhelmed, tired, and increasingly depressed, these women often sought help from their doctors. What did doctors prescribe for these struggling women? A miracle pill, known simply as diet pills, marketed primarily as a weight loss aid. Branded pharmaceuticals like methadone, Desoxin, and Obitrol became widely available, their main active ingredient being either methamphetamine or amphetamine. Imagine a typical morning for a 1955 American housewife. She wakes, takes a methadone with her coffee, and suddenly feels an exhilarating surge of energy. Her appetite vanishes, making weight loss seem effortless, and she cleans her home with astonishing speed, talking non-stop. In the 1950s, methamphetamine, often marketed as a benign diet aid or antidepressant, became an accepted part of American life. Pharmaceutical companies openly sold it, positioning it as a little friend for housewives struggling with weight or mood. At its peak, billions of these stimulant pills flooded the market annually, offering a quick fix for societal pressures. This widespread legal use laid the groundwork for a much darker future. The carefree 1950s eventually gave way to the rebellious 1960s. As the government began to tighten its grip on these once legal stimulants in the mid-60s, the flow of methamphetamine from pharmacies dwindled. But demand persisted, driving the drug out of suburban medicine cabinets and onto the streets. It was here that a new demographic eagerly embraced it. Notorious motorcycle gangs like the Hells Angels, marking a dramatic shift in its cultural perception and use. Why did methamphetamine resonate so deeply with biker culture? It was the perfect drug for their nomadic, often violent lifestyle. They needed to stay awake for hundreds of miles on the open road without rest, and they craved the aggression required for territorial disputes. Crucially, it was cheap and readily available. These bikers even coined a new name for it: crank. Street legend claims they would hide their stash in the crankcase of their motorcycles, ingeniously evading police searches. This era brought a deadly turning point. Users began injecting methamphetamine instead of taking pills, intensifying its effects. By 1967, in San Francisco, the heart of the hippie movement, an ominous message appeared on walls: "Speed kills." Peaceful hippies seeking love and enlightenment were horrified by the emergence of speed freaks. These individuals were paranoid, violent, and quick to aggression. Methamphetamine effectively ended the summer of love, ushering in a dark, new era of crime and addiction. The kitchen door swung open, revealing a new era of clandestine chemistry. It was time for the street alchemists to emerge. The age of dilapidated RVs deep in the woods, reeking of acrid chemicals and phosphine gas, began. This was the birth of a criminal legend, one later immortalized by the series Breaking Bad. Chapter 5. Breaking Bad in Real Life. In the 1970s and 80s, as the U.S. government tightened pharmaceutical regulations, acquiring large quantities of ephedrine for meth production became increasingly difficult. Outlaw motorcycle gangs, the original purveyors, found their supply lines drying up. This critical juncture created a void, making way for genuine chemical artists, individuals the criminal underworld dubbed cooks. Unlike the amateur bathtub brewers, these chemists possessed real scientific knowledge. They realized that if ephedrine couldn't be bought, it could be synthesized from basic industrial chemicals. Thus, the P2P method, phenyl-2-propanone, was born. Fans of Breaking Bad will recall Walter White initially using pseudoephedrine from cold medicine, but as supplies dwindled, he transitioned to barrels of methylamine, precisely the real-world P2P method. While P2P produced a slightly less pure form of methamphetamine compared to ephedrine-based methods, its advantages were undeniable. The raw materials were incredibly abundant and easily sourced, common chemicals used in pool cleaning, leather tanning, or oil processing. However, this accessibility came at a steep price, a horrendous stench, and an ever-present risk of explosion. Meth labs, or M-labs, began springing up in decrepit RVs, abandoned houses, or deep within secluded forests. The chemical reactions produced deadly phosphine gas and a pungent, acrid smell akin to cat urine. This noxious odor was why meth was often cooked in remote, rural areas. If you ever catch a strong whiff of cat urine amidst a fragrant pine forest, run. You're standing next to a ticking time bomb. Every year, hundreds of meth lab explosions devastate communities across the U.S. Clumsy cooks burn themselves alive. Neighborhoods are obliterated, and innocent children are left with horrific burns. Tragic victims of this deadly trade. While P2P methods kept methamphetamine alive, its small-scale, fragmented production couldn't fuel a global epidemic. For meth to truly explode, it required a vastly different kind of investor, larger, more ruthless, and infinitely wealthier. The drug found its godfathers south of the border, marking a critical geopolitical turning point in the 1990s. As the once dominant Colombian cocaine cartels, exemplified by figures like Pablo Escobar, began to falter, a significant power vacuum emerged in the illicit drug trade. This void was quickly and ruthlessly filled by the Mexican cartels. Initially serving merely as transporters for Colombian cocaine, these cunning entrepreneurs soon recognized a fundamental economic truth. Why import cocaine from distant South America, sharing profits, when they could produce their own lucrative drug right on their home turf in Mexico? They found their answer in methamphetamine, a drug not reliant on specific growing seasons, fertile land for coca plants or poppies, or susceptible to pests or droughts. Its production required just one thing: chemicals. Cartels such as Sinaloa, led by figures like Chapo, and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJ&G, revolutionized meth production. They transformed it from an artisanal craft into a heavy industry. Gone were the cramped RV labs. Instead, they constructed colossal super labs, hidden deep within the rugged Sierra Madre mountain ranges, or meticulously camouflaged underground. These facilities mirrored legitimate pharmaceutical plants in scale, boasting towering 3-meter stainless steel reaction vessels, advanced air filtration systems, and a team of highly paid chemical engineers. While an individual biker might yield a mere ounce, a single cartel superlab could churn out 5 tons of methamphetamine weekly. The quality of this cartel-produced meth was unprecedented. Forget the fictional blue meth of Breaking Bad. Their product was 95 and 99% pure, transparent like crystal, beautiful yet deadly. This cartel involvement fundamentally reshaped the drug landscape. Industrial-scale production drastically slashed prices, making meth incredibly cheap, effectively becoming the poor man's cocaine. Its global footprint expanded exponentially. Cartels not only flooded the U.S. market but also exported their deadly product to Europe, Australia, and Asia. Most terrifyingly, to source the vast quantities of precursor chemicals needed, these cartels extended their octopus-like reach into Asia, securing their supply lines. The illicit trade in methamphetamine thrives on a sophisticated global network. Precursor chemicals, often ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, are imported from countries like China under the guise of cold medicine or industrial chemicals. These then travel to labs, predominantly in Mexico, where they are cooked into potent meth before being distributed across the United States and worldwide. This isn't just a national drug problem, it's a brutal, multinational corporation. To safeguard these multi-billion-dollar shipments, cartels operate with extreme violence, willing to behead rivals, display bodies publicly, and corrupt entire governments. But while the kingpins count their blood money, at the very end of this devastating supply chain, the users, their unwitting customers, pay a price far exceeding any currency, the cost of their own lives and humanity. They are tragically transformed into creatures barely recognizable as human. In 2004, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office in Oregon, USA, initiated a project that would send shockwaves globally. Titled Faces of Meth, this initiative aimed to starkly illustrate the drug's insidious grip and profound physical toll. The project unveiled a series of disturbing mugshots, featuring the same individual over successive years, chronicling their rapid descent. The first image typically depicted a vibrant young woman with clear, smooth skin, bright, hopeful eyes, and a healthy complexion. Yet, the subsequent photograph, often taken merely 3 years later, presented a horrifying contrast. A gaunt, emaciated figure with hollowed cheeks, skin marred by numerous open sores, and eyes that had become dark, vacant pits, devoid of life. This stark comparison begged the chilling question: what could inflict such a rapid, dehumanizing transformation? One of the most immediate and visually striking devastations caused by meth addiction is what's grimly known as meth mouth. Methamphetamine is a highly corrosive substance. When inhaled or smoked, its toxic chemicals immediately attack the oral cavity. It drastically reduces saliva production, compromising the mouth's natural defense against decay, while simultaneously inducing an intense, involuntary grinding of teeth, a condition called bruxism. Addicts gnash their jaws for hours on end, leading to severe tooth erosion, cracks, blackening, and eventually teeth decaying and falling out, leaving a horrific, jagged void where a smile once was. The physical toll is stark. Faces and bodies become canvases of pockmarked scars, open, weeping wounds that refuse to heal. But this corporeal decay pales in comparison to the destruction of the soul. Methamphetamine operates by forcing the brain to release an enormous surge of dopamine, the hormone of pleasure and motivation. To put it in perspective, a romantic kiss might generate 100 units of dopamine, cocaine around 350, but methamphetamine unleashes an astounding 1,200 units. It's a tsunami of euphoria, washing away all anxieties. Yet, the human brain isn't designed to withstand such a catastrophic flood. In a desperate act of self-preservation, the brain's dopamine receptors begin to shut down. The horrific consequence? When the drug wears off, users plunge into a state known as anhedonia, a profound inability to experience joy. They find no pleasure in a delicious meal, no happiness in reuniting with loved ones, no satisfaction in achieving a goal. Their lives become a desolate, desperate landscape of gray. The only semblance of joy they can now feel is from the next hit. As days bleed into nights, often 5, then 7 days without sleep, a state known as tweaking, the fragile boundary between reality and hallucination dissolves. They begin to see shadow people, ominous figures lurking in the corners of their rooms, watching. They hear disembodied voices whispering commands in their minds, urging them to commit irrational, often violent acts. This is the inevitable destination of the methamphetamine journey. The mental asylum, the cold confines of prison, or the chilling slab of the morgue. As the night deepens, our journey with these deadly crystals draws to a close. Its insidious path began in the test tubes of Japanese chemists, innocently seeking to cure ailments. It then found its way into the backpacks of Nazi soldiers, desperate to conquer the world. From there, it permeated the lives of American housewives, yearning for unattainable perfection, and eventually fueled the brutal rise of violent cartels, hungry for power and control. The history of methamphetamine is, at its core, a tragic saga of human ambition. We, as a species, relentlessly crave to transcend our own limitations. We aspire to be stronger, faster, more alert, and perpetually happier. We stubbornly refuse to accept weariness, boredom, or pain, those intrinsic facets of the human condition that define our very existence. And then, like a sinister mirage, methamphetamine emerges, presenting itself as the devil's sweet, irresistible promise. "I will grant you the power of gods," it whispers. But it deliberately omits the true, devastating cost. It never warns us that, in exchange for a fleeting few hours of superhuman capability, we will forfeit the remainder of our lives. History's shadow often leaves behind not just events, but a fragile, haunting ghost of what once was. Yet, the profound lesson isn't to harbor resentment towards a mindless chemical or an inanimate object. Instead, it's a humbling realization to truly appreciate our own inherent limitations. For centuries, humanity has pushed boundaries, often stumbling in the process. This journey has taught us that wisdom lies not in conquering every external force, but in understanding and respecting the delicate internal balance that defines us as individuals. It's in recognizing where we end and the world begins. True contentment, therefore, doesn't lie in perpetual euphoria, but in the rhythm of life's natural contrasts. Embrace the weariness of a long day, for it is the very precursor to the profound peace of a truly restful night's sleep. Welcome the transient sting of sorrow, as it sharpens our perception and deepens our appreciation for genuine joy when it arrives. Let us not be lured by the deceptive glitter of shattered crystals, promising an artificial paradise. For within those illusory fragments, a far darker reality awaits. A harrowing abyss where only torment and despair reside. We sincerely hope that this nightly dossier has not only illuminated the intricate history and devastating impact of a pervasive issue, but also offered you a fresh, insightful perspective on one of the greatest challenges of our modern era. Now, as the hour grows late, we encourage you to gently set aside the worries and complexities of the world. Allow your mind and body to unwind naturally. There's no need for artificial aids, no reliance on pharmaceutical crutches or fleeting stimulants. Simply embrace the profound, inherent peace of natural sleep, which now draws ever closer, ready to embrace you. If the untold histories and cautionary tales explored within these shadowed narratives resonate with you, and if you believe in the power of shedding light on the darker corners of our past for a brighter future, we invite you to join our growing community. Please consider subscribing to the Midnight Archives channel. Furthermore, by sharing this video, you can help amplify this crucial message of awareness and vigilance, reaching countless others who might benefit from its insights. Thank you for lending us your precious time and attention tonight. May your sleep be undisturbed, profoundly peaceful, and truly restorative. Good night.